What's up, y'all? We got a video from Jimmy High Roller. We just witnessed one of the greatest seasons of all time. Bro, it's been too long. It's been like 2 months since this man has dropped a video. I'm gonna give y'all 5 seconds. Go grab your popcorn right now. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, I can't wait any longer. We're hopping right into it.
I'd be lying if I said we didn't see this coming.
We just here to listen.
A 68-win record-setting team who's been the overwhelming favorite to win the title this season for practically the entire season,
68
winning the title.
wins.
This
And
is
the
not
chip.
an underdog story, or one riddled with ups and downs capped off
Shea
with an improbable
MVP.
rise to glory.
One
But
heck of a year
it should
for
have
the
been
Thunder.
one of the youngest
One
teams
heck
in
of
the
a
league
year.
with relatively little experience, aiming for a prize their franchises only come within
Wow.
reaching distance of once before. And
Bro, I still can't believe the Thunder. They had Westbrook, Harden, and KD back in the day, bro. That is crazy to me. That's so crazy.
this was a 100-game slaughter, a season of blowouts, absurd margins, awards, and shattered records. A season so
facts.
dominant that skepticism turned into optimism, which quickly became expectation. And yet the 2025 OKC Thunder didn't just meet those expectations, they obliterated all of them. Because the
Crazy.
Thunder aren't just champions, they have now completed one of the greatest seasons of all time.
68 wins. 68. It's insane.
Today's video is sponsored.
Here we go. More with the ads. But hey, he trying to get paid. You know, I ain't blaming him. Gotta bring back the thank you music, bro. Thank you very much. Go get your money. Do your thing, bro.
Throughout the history of the NBA, 79 different teams have been crowned champions.
79
teams that beat the odds and achieved basketball immortality.
Still not
but
my
even among
Clippers.
champions,
My Clippers
there's an
need
even
one.
more exclusive club. Teams that didn't just win a title, but set entirely new standards on what is achievable in a single season. Of these 79 title-winning teams, only 8 of them achieved these 3 key metrics: a net rating of at least 10, an average margin of victory of at least 10, and at least 65 wins throughout the regular season.
Only
Those
3?
teams are the 71 Bucks, the 72 Lakers, the 92, 96, and 97 Bulls, the 08 Celtics, the 2015 Warriors, and the 2017 Warriors. These 8 teams are basketball royalty. So dominant that winning a championship was more of a victory lap than it was a testament to just how great they were. And without exception, all of these teams are regarded as the greatest teams or single seasons in NBA history. And now, a 9th team has been added to this exclusive club. The 2025
Thunder.
OKC Thunder. But to say they have
Okay.
simply entered this club would actually be an understatement. Because throughout the 2025 season, the Thunder finished with the 6th best record of all time, the 2nd highest net rating of all time, and the
Wow.
largest margin of victory in the history of the league.
That's
By all
crazy,
measurable
y'all.
accounts, the
That's
2025
crazy.
Thunder have asserted themselves among some of the greatest seasons in the history of the league. In fact,
That's crazy. The 6th greatest record of all time. Is crazy. 68-14. One heck of a record right there. One heck of a season.
they weren't just beating everyone. The Thunder spent the last 9 months completely eviscerating teams. In the NBA, a 20-point victory is cited as a blowout. On 29 different occasions, nearly a third of all of their games this season, the Thunder were up on their opponents by 20 points or more by the end of the 3rd quarter, which means
What?
1 in every 3 games was already deemed a blowout before the 4th quarter even started.
Oh, that's
As the season
ridiculous.
progressed, the rapidly approaching realization
I
that
didn't
this
know it
team
was
may
that
just be
bad.
having one of the greatest seasons of all time became clearer with each monumental beatdown. The
I didn't
MVP
know they
and
were
scoring
beating
champion,
teams that
a
bad. That is
23-year-old
crazy.
All-NBA guard by his side. Not 1, but 2 all-defensive juggernauts. A rotation so deep, you'd swear they just subbed in another starting unit. It didn't take an analyst to know we were watching something special. In fact, by the time the playoffs rolled around, a very uncomfortable conversation quickly followed.
They are 4 wins away, Demonze, from one of the single greatest seasons in NBA history.
Like they've won 79 games between the regular season and the playoffs. They could be as extravagant and arrogant as they wish. They just aren't.
Are we seeing the potential of an all-time great team here?
The NBA should be worried.
Is this team truly one of the greatest teams ever? Or
And here's the thing. they drafted their star players. Except for Shea, but they drafted Chet, they drafted Jalen Williams, two key pieces from
At the
their
very
team.
least, are they having
they
one
made
of the
the trade
greatest
for Shaq.
seasons ever? A dialogue that was routinely and justifiably shot down every time it came up.
But
To
two
even
of
enter
their
that discussion, they
players
first
in
had to
the
win a
Big Three,
championship, something that
they-
we've seen
they
countless
drafted.
good teams fall short of. But not this one. Checking the final box on a season that is now
got that
certainly
ring.
in that rare and exceptional
Game
group.
7 got
But of
that
all the things
ring.
this Thunder team has in common with the greats that came before it, how they managed to pull it off is what sets them apart. Among the requirements of nearly every championship team are talent, depth, defense, execution, and experience. After all, the one glaring hole in OKC's armor going into the playoffs was their lack of it. The regular season and the
experience,
postseason
yeah.
have become so disconnected in
they're
recent
so
years
young.
that winning 68 games in historic fashion isn't nearly convincing enough
Got
if
such
you
a
haven't
young
proven
team.
yourself in the playoffs. And as we all know, the road to a championship usually takes years, with countless casualties along the way. Players coming and going, heartbreak, entire roster identities changing in search for a winning formula. But this team didn't just win it all. They won it way faster than they should have. Over the last 30 seasons, the average age across the NBA is about 26.8 years old. Throughout
Okay.
that same time span, the average age of championship winning rosters is about 2 years older at 28.8 years old. Championship
Oh, wow.
rosters are usually comprised of players with more experience, they're more
28.8.
battle tested, and in many cases have spent years falling short of a championship before they finally achieve their ultimate goal. The 2025 Thunder being the exception, with an average roster age of just 24.8 years old. By far the youngest team to win a title in nearly 50 years. In
Wow.
fact, most championship teams don't even have a single player, let alone an entire roster this young getting minutes in the playoffs. So not
Crazy.
only have the Thunder just put together one of the most complete and dominant seasons the league has ever seen, they did it about 4 years ahead of schedule. So what is next for a team?
That's crazy. Yo, the Thunder, this team really has like Sam Presti looking like a genius for real. Really has Sam Presti looking like a genius, and the whole Thunder organization, they basically built this franchise, rebuilt this franchise up from the ground up. Once they lost, obviously Westbrook, Harden, and KD, they rebuilt this franchise from the ground up, and look at them now, NBA champs.
That essentially checked
Crazy.
off every single box in a season.
Dynasty.
The burden of proving they can do it again. Over the last few days, the word
We'll see.
dynasty has been thrown around. What it means to be a dynasty and what it takes to build one. But if the current era of the NBA has taught us anything, it's that dynasties might just be a thing of the past. Every generation has seen at least one of these teams, whether it was the Celtics and the Lakers in the 80s, the Bulls of the 90s, the Lakers and Spurs in the 2000s,
Is it
and
'cause
the
of the
Warriors in
trades?
the 2010s.
So many
and they
guys
have
are
played
moving
a
around
pivotal
now.
role throughout NBA history.
Might be.
At least they did, up until recently. Since 2019, the NBA has seen a different champion every year. 7 different teams across 7 seasons. The longest span of unique title winners in NBA history.
That's
As if
actually
winning
crazy.
a championship wasn't difficult enough. Winning another one is magnitudes more difficult.
That's crazy, but you know what? I mean, more players are getting traded now. There's not as much loyalty in the league, but which is it depends on how you look at it, really. It can be unfortunate. It depends on how you look at it, but at the same time, like Jimmy High Roller saying, like, it creates a lot of parity in the league. Like, you don't know who's gonna win the NBA championship every year. That's crazy. I actually didn't really realize that. The last 7 years, it's been a different champion every year. The last, 7 years? That's insane.
And in recent times, it has become nearly impossible. With every team that shows signs of building something that will truly last, comes the stark reminder that it probably won't. Players seeking greener pastures, a championship run often bringing out the egos in everyone involved. They lose sight of the team. Sometimes it can simply be a logistical nightmare to keep a winning team together. Injuries can throw off timelines, young players get too expensive, old players get even older, the mileage adds up, and the window closes a whole lot faster than you would ever expect. Which means one of two things is true. Either we are truly in the era of parity and analytics, the speed of information, modern-day roster constructions, and the depth of talent has made it virtually impossible to build a lead on the competition, or there will be a dynasty of the 20s. We just haven't seen it yet. But we may be looking at one in the making. In a league where talent is a rotating door and assets are thrown around like cheap commodities, the Thunder have taken an unconventional route to a title, actually developing players and building from within. Roster continuity is an ever-increasing point of emphasis in the NBA today. Recent history has shown that the once viable method of building top-heavy super teams centered around a couple of superstars.
Sorry. This kind of reminds me a little bit of like college basketball in a way too, like how everyone's like in the transfer portal, you know, everyone's just jumping around to different schools now in college basketball. Same thing with the NBA, you know, guys are hopping around getting traded. They're not happy where they're at. They're getting traded. And so it makes it a lot tougher to build chemistry quick enough to have enough talent to win a championship, but then also to have like the chemistry and be able to build the chemistry soon enough to make a deep run in the playoffs. So I mean, it's tough. It's like you're saying, it's getting tougher.
Talents with little to no supporting cast was a failing model. The smartest organizations around the league shifted their focus away from acquiring top-end talent at any cost to the more traditional and sustainable model of developing players from within and acquiring pieces based on fit rather than sheer talent. And no team has mastered the art of drafting, developing, and fit better than the Thunder have. Since 2019, the average roster continuity among championship teams, essentially how much a team stayed the same from one season to the next, was about 61%. That means, on average, 61% of these championship teams' minutes were filled by players from the previous season's roster. The 2025 Thunder had a roster continuity of 79%, meaning the vast majority of their minutes were played by guys who they purposefully built around rather than outsourcing. In this new era of deep, consistent rosters where
having a core of guys that you bring back for the next year, it's so crucial. And not only is it like chemistry building, that does it help with just it's chemistry building, having a bunch of guys coming back for another year, but it's also culture building. Like you have a culture established at each NBA franchise, and so just having, 79% of their guys coming back, like that's their primary culture that's been built with the Thunder that's coming back. Like that's huge. That makes a huge difference.
Chemistry and fit matter just as much as talent. The OKC Thunder have built the youngest, most continuous roster in the entire league, while being the best team in the league. But the anomalous nature of this team doesn't end there, because the Thunder's front office has built this team for the future. I think they would be the first to admit that this immense success, although part of the plan, was not expected to come this early. And evidence of this can be found here. Among the championship teams in this era of parity, the 2020 Lakers have had the lowest payroll, winning the title with just the 11th most expensive team in the league. These other rosters sitting well amongst the most expensive teams in the NBA at the time. This year's Thunder roster had the 25th highest payroll in the NBA. This team has their future growth already baked into the numbers. Where many teams of the past had to break up their core or watch key players walk away due to money, the Thunder are one of the cheapest rosters in the league, giving themselves room to offer the highest bid to anyone who may want to leave or inevitably be up for an extension. They say money can't buy championships, but it sure does help. Fortunately, the Thunder just won one of the cheapest rings in NBA history. But possibly the largest positive indicator for the future of this team, and a reflection of just how abnormal their accomplishments are, is the fact that they are the sole owner of the largest draft stockpile in the entire league, with 24 picks over the next 5 seasons. Now, this has been a big development over the...
Did he say 24? Oh my gosh. Bro, they are set. They're set. They got 24 draft picks in the next 5 years? Are you kidding me? Bro, this franchise is literally set. That is crazy. I had no idea. That's insane. They're built for the future. They have the young stars here on their team right now. They're one of in terms of salary, they're one of the cheaper teams in the league with cap space. I'm sure they got some cap space to spare. That's crazy though. That's crazy.
Last couple of seasons,
They're
just
winning
how
now, but
good
they're
the
also
Thunder
good for
are
the future.
while sitting on a million picks. But the Thunder actually winning a championship changes everything and makes these assets look even more unbelievable. You want to see the cost of trying to win now? The teams that are highlighted represent the 8 teams that made it past the first round of the playoffs this season. Nearly all of them near the bottom of the league in terms of draft capital. Even more shocking, when we highlight the last 5 championship teams, they are the bottom 5 in the league in terms of future draft picks. Winning comes at a hefty price.
They went all in on winning now. They went all in on winning now, which I feel like that's a common theme throughout the league. We're seeing several teams like the Suns, for example, like with their big 3 that they had, the Lakers. I mean, there's several teams that are like in win now mode, and so they're not worried about the future. They have stars in their prime that are in their prime, and they're trying to utilize those players who are in their prime while they're still playing at such a high level. And so they're not worried as much about the future. But the Thunder it sounds like the Thunder really have like the perfect situation. They got young stars who are really talented already, and they're going to be great for the future if they can hold on to them. And they're stacked up on picks too to just continue to draft really good young players. I mean, goodness.
A price that the Thunder managed to completely evade. Outside of OKC, the only team that made it out of the first round while maintaining more than their fair share of draft picks were the Pacers. Every other team that is within vicinity of OKC is nowhere near even competing for a championship right now. In fact, the only reason why a team should even have as much draft capital as the Thunder do is if they have essentially forfeited the next season or two in an attempt to rebuild. Meanwhile, the Thunder just completed one of the best seasons of all time while simultaneously building a gluttony of assets for the future. This is unheard of. Usually, in fact, almost always, you do not get to be good now and be good later. You have to go all in on one or the other. Except, of course, if you're Sam Presti and the Thunder, and you are attempting to do what no team can seem to pull off. Be the next great NBA dynasty. But as it stands, the 2025 Thunder have already defied the odds. A young, small market team that was built from homegrown talent, not only stamping their name in every record book, but cementing their legacy as NBA champions, and doing it smarter, faster, and about as unlikely as any team ever has.
They really built this franchise. Sam Presti and just everyone working for the Thunder, they really built this franchise from the ground up. It is insane. It is insane. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this video. I mean, shoot, we'll have to wait and see. Time will tell if this Thunder team is going to be a dynasty in the making. I mean, shoot, they definitely have the pieces to do it. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. I'll catch you all in the next one.